सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome back to World 360. Today we've got 3 geopolitical issues to talk about, and for this we're focusing on 3 very different regions in the world: Europe, the Middle East and Asia. Now in Europe there appears to be a major diplomatic spat between Russia and a small island country. In the Middle East, a handshake between 2 leaders at the FIFA World Cup has made news. And in Asia, we examine why a country, in fact a neighbor of India's, which just went to general elections, has had a historical reluctance towards electronic voting, therefore making vote counts painstakingly slow. So first up, the soaring tensions between Russia and the Republic of Ireland. In what appears to be a diplomatic tit-for-tat, the Irish government last week asked a number of people at the Russian embassy in Dublin to leave the country, and now there are calls to shut down the embassy altogether. We're now also seeing Irish lawmakers ask whether the time has come to expel Russia's ambassador and shut down the Russian embassy altogether. This is interesting given Ireland has long maintained military neutrality amid the Ukraine war. It's also been accused of going soft on Russia as far back as 2015 when it abstained from a European Parliament resolution that criticized Putin's annexation of Crimea. Also, Ireland is not part of NATO and has only provided humanitarian aid to Ukraine in the recent conflict. So what changed? What we're seeing now from Ireland is a response to Russia's ban last week on 52 Irish officials, including the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. Even Ireland's Foreign Minister, Finance Minister and Minister for Justice have been banned from entering Russia. Now, Russia said it did this to counter anti-Russian propaganda emanating from Ireland. Making the announcement last week, the Kremlin said, acting under the dictation of Brussels, Ireland is conducting an aggressive anti-Russian propaganda campaign. One of the consequences of fueling Russia-phobic hysteria in Irish society was the attack on the Russian embassy in Dublin in March this year. Now, what was this attack? On 8th March this year, a man slammed a truck through the gates of the Russian embassy in Dublin in protest of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A month later, 2 Irish diplomats were expelled from the country's embassy in Moscow, to which the Irish Prime Minister expressed his disappointment. So clearly, these tit-for-tat moves have been brewing for a while. But Russia has made many enemies in this war, especially in the West. So why are we focusing on the little island country of Ireland? Well, as analyst Ewan Drea points out in a report for Foreign Policy, Ireland is Europe's weakest link. Now, what does this mean? In short, it means that Ireland, according to Drea, lacks an effective military to counter any real Russian threat. And 2, Ireland is strategically located at Europe's edge in the North Atlantic Ocean, and off its coast lies undersea communications cables linking North America and Europe. There are already fears in the West of Russian sabotage on critical energy infrastructure. In short, Ireland is militarily vulnerable and strategically located. The question now is, can Ireland afford to depart from its long-held stance of neutrality amid the Ukraine war? On to our second geopolitical topic, a handshake at the World Cup. Last week, we talked about the significance of a 4-minute conversation between Australian and Chinese leaders. You may have also seen analysts picking apart a fist bump between Biden and the Saudi Crown Prince a few weeks ago. This handshake incident is a little like that. It seems small, but actually holds a lot of importance. On Sunday, Turkish President Erdogan and Egyptian leader Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met for the first time since 2013 at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, where they shook hands. This was significant because the bilateral relations between Egypt and Turkey have been virtually non-existent since the Egyptian military, then led by Sisi, overthrew democratically elected President Mohamed Morsi in 2013, a close ally of Erdogan. This is big considering in the past Erdogan vowed never to talk to Sisi even if mediators were involved, and even said he wouldn't sit at the same table with him. Now, the tables have turned. We can't view this handshake in isolation though. Since last year, Erdogan has stepped up his outreach to regional foes, not only including Egypt, but also Israel, Armenia, Saudi Arabia, and so on. Bloomberg columnist and commentator Bobby Ghosh says it's because of Turkey's economic problems that require Erdogan to seek opportunities wherever he can get it. And this outreach by Turkey has often had one common denominator: the Muslim Brotherhood, now a banned group in Egypt. For the longest time, Turkey had supported the Muslim Brotherhood, but since this outreach to regional foes began, Turkey has tried to scale back on that support. Now, if Erdogan is serious about repairing ties with Egypt, the elephant in the room is once again going to be the Muslim Brotherhood, especially since Sisi's predecessor Morsi was closely affiliated with the group. Now, for our last topic of the day, we're traveling to Asia to talk about Nepal's general election. And though voters have already flocked to the ballot booths, the vote count is likely to be very, very slow. Experts estimate that we will probably only hear about the results of Nepal's general elections in 18 days or so. Why is Nepal's vote count so slow? Well, there isn't just one factor, of course, but there is one curious phenomenon that could be contributing to this slow pace, and that is Nepal's reluctance toward e-voting or electronic voting. The last time Nepal used e-voting machines in its national elections was in 2008. Since then, the country has stuck to traditional paper balloting. In the past, parties like Nepali Congress, CPN UML, and CPN Maoist Center have opposed the idea of e-voting. They've complained that there aren't enough buttons on machines to represent the high number of parties in Nepal, and there are also fears that such machines can be easily manipulated. But it is interesting that despite having a population of 30 million, Nepal hasn't yet joined other developing countries like India, the Philippines, and Nigeria to adopt e-voting. A report by the Nepal Economic Forum says Nepal should seriously consider e-voting because it helps increase voter turnout. In fact, in the current election, there was 61% voter turnout, which was lower than 77% back in 2013 and 78% back in 2017. Now, it's not that lack of e-voting has reduced the voter turnout. If anything, people maybe didn't turn up to vote for other reasons. But it is possible that e-voting can be encouragement enough for people to come out and vote the next time around. There seems to be a lack of political will when it comes to e-voting in Nepal because the Election Commission seems very much in favor of it. In fact, the Commission had earlier requested the government to provide e-voting machines before mid-July so that they could be used for the November election, but the government didn't provide these in time. Instead, the Commission returned to its old ways, printing 8 million ballot papers and 2.2 million sample papers, and on top of that, 40 million ballot papers for the proportional representation elections. Thank you so much for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint and keep sending in your suggestions.